Yeah, we're Augustines. We're from New York City. This is really pleasant, you guys. Thank you so much for coming out on Monday. The weather's kind of funky. I get it. How you doing? Good.
Hi, it's Sophie for Culture Campus, and I'm at the Queen of Hoxton with We Are Augustines. How are you?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so you've been travelling a lot lately, so how are you feeling? Are you a bit flagging? Are you tired, or are you raring to go tonight?
We're raring to go, but we're just coming out of all being sick at the same time.
What have you had, just the flu and man flu? Or?
I think it's just that time of year. We're just getting all snotty.
All up in here.
So what have you got here to help the head colds? Anything?
This right here, it's the all-in-one cold and flu capsule.
Is it working for you?
It's doing wonders.
You've also got some Doritos there.
That's not really helping, but
Vitamin C, echinacea,
tons of vitamin C.
tons of every day, like overdosing
works.
on it.
Yeah,
And whiskey.
that's been our
Oh, that
regimen.
always works, doesn't it? Now, Rob, have you been taking them to the UK landmarks, to the best restaurants, things like that, while they're in the UK, or?
No.
I took them to a football match.
Oh, which one?
It was Arsenal v Stoke. Don't pull her face. Like
Sorry,
that.
I'm a Man U supporter, so we're not going to get on, are we?
No one's perfect.
Rob's a big Stoke fan. So.
Oh, Stoke fan.
Yeah.
Oh, not
He loves
Arsenal.
Listen to him.
Oh, I fell for it. So you were on tour with Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Did you bond well? Did you get on well?
We did. We didn't really talk much in the beginning of the tour, but towards the end of the tour, we started to get to know each other a little bit more. And the second to last night, me and Rob actually hung out with them all night long, and that was fun.
Are they the moody, silent types to start off with? Then does it take a bit of cracking open?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. They keep
on their plate.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think the shows were very big. I think they've been gone a little bit.
A lot of people say in a Las Vegas audience, there's a lot of men in there getting really emotional. Did you see that? A lot of misty eyes going on?
No, not personally. No.
No, but they were enthusiastic. Definitely sang. They were singing pretty loud. It's impressive. I think there's something in the UK and Europe that seems to be related to football in some way, like big sing-alongs with
The
crowds of
chants.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't do that so much in New York.
Do you enjoy that though?
It's
Get
nice.
you going.
Yeah, it's really it's like a big unified brotherhood. It's like I wish we had more of that. We
You
sing
should bring
Christmas
it back
carols.
to New York, shouldn't you? Start a trend.
We can.
It's not entirely up to us, though. It's kind
No.
of that goes both ways. The
So would you
audience.
say the crowds are better here then, being controversial?
I would say that there's a wider age bracket of music appreciators here.
Yeah.
It seems like an 18 to 30 place in the United States, and here we've seen people, up to 60 years old at shows.
Oh, good for them, I say. Yeah.
Keeping young.
Exactly. Yeah. So tonight we're here for the launch of Book of James.
Yep.
Now, it's not been the easiest of roads to get to this point, both professionally and personally. So how does it feel on a night like this? Is it bittersweet, or are you just excited that it's all out there now for everyone to hear?
That's a good way to put it. You feel excited?
I'm very excited. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've been touring a little bit now for a couple months, so a little bit of the excitement of has been satiated with the live shows. That feeling of wanting to get out. And so I feel I don't think it will really hit until we actually officially release the vinyl tonight. So right now I'm still in that excited for a show
Anticipation.
more so than excited for the release itself.
I think I'm just completely punch drunk. It's completely surreal. We were in the BBC World, studios, and NPR and some awesome people. Interviews, like we're starting to realize who we've done interviews with, and they're like actually,
The big guns.
real notable people. And
Stephen and Mac.
Yeah.
And Dermot O'Leary.
Yeah.
and- yeah. it's
So
really big.
yeah, we didn't. We don't have personalities like that in radio.
Oh, okay.
We have a large college market, which usually is the more eclectic DJ culture.
Everything's kind of isolated in its own pocket. We don't really have the national radio.
Oh, okay. It's quite different then. isn't
Sure.
it?
So you'd have you have Wales, England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, right? So that would be like Maine, Vermont, Michigan, and Ohio.
Your country's so vast.
It's
though, you
pretty
can't
big.
compare it, can you?
Yeah. So no one goes coast to coast. We used to have a guy named Casey. My name is Casey Kasem. I'm top 40. He was this weird old guy that had a lot of plastic surgery and super dyed black hair. And he was pretty freaky. He looked like a weird Muppet. Remember Spitting Image? What were those guys?
Yeah.
The couple, this is the world we live in. Do you remember those guys? What was it was English.
That was Paul, the guy from. He played with Peter Gabriel. That was Peter Gabriel.
That was Phil Collins.
Phil Collins.
It was Phil Collins. But, I mean, Casey Kasem looked like one of those Muppets. But anyway, he was the only guy, and it was top 40. And back in the day, I used to stay up as a kid, like, to midnight when they play. That's really late when you're a little guy. And I'd, like, hear, like, I don't know, the hits of the day.
I didn't realise you knew Spitting Image. I
Yeah.
love watching that program.
It was only on one video. And it was the funniest shit when you were a little guy. Just like this,
So it's just sneak up,
we had like Reagan and stuff, like, kind of looked like Alf. Like, they kind of bopped around like Alf. It was great.
I think it's quite insulting, but at the same time quite privileged to have a spitting image doll of yourself, isn't it?
yeah.
It's like the dream.
They had the Gorbachev, and they made the spot on his head extra dark.
Yeah.
Like ketchup. So you started making the songs for the record, I think, when you were in your old band Pella.
Yeah.
So when you left that band, were you still able to talk to the old band members and like get their advice when you're honing the tracks? Did they still offer tidbits on how to improve things?
No, I think they went quickly into their lives. Our drummer had twins.
Wow.
Not just had a baby, he had two babies. And our other bandmate he's already putting out a second record. So everyone just kind of scattered and moved and left, one of them left the state, and our other friend started touring pretty heavily. So I think it was just really up to us.
Okay. And it covers some pretty heavy topics, obviously, homelessness and schizophrenia, and you tragically lost your mother and brother during that time.
Yeah.
Were there ever times when you thought, I can't make this record, I need to just get away, or you didn't want the stuff to be in the public domain because it was so personal, or did you just think it needs to be out there for everyone?
To be honest, I think there's been a mix-up in the press a little bit. I lost my mother when I was 19.
Okay.
So I've been reading that too. That's like, wow, that's really bad. No, the thing that happened with my brother, it was just so happened. I don't know if this has been cleared up either. It just so happened that I had written all these songs about family and the lower rungs of society and so on, and we lost him at the end of the album, making of the album. So it was sort of goosebumps. Like, I mean, you can imagine. It was. Do we even put this out? Do I want to deal with this? And do I want to hear about this? It wasn't very long ago. It was only 2 years ago. So I think we really, really, truly believe that it can help out, and it's made us look. I've never felt comfortable with the the amount of homelessness it's rampant in our country. I'm from Northern California, and I guess you would say our capital city in the north is San Francisco. It's largely considered the homeless capital of the world. And I was never on the street myself for very long. I think I slept on a bench a couple nights, definitely slept in a car a few times, slept on some balconies, slept on some roofs, but it was all in sort of rock and roll fun. But sadly, other people in my family hit the streets is because they didn't have the capacity mentally to navigate their lives any longer because they had schizophrenia. And what I noticed about that particular disease is that you deteriorate fairly quickly. And I don't mean to stand on a soapbox, but my brother sat in prison because he committed a crime. He got in a fight, and he it was quite a serious fight, and he ended up in jail, and he got in another altercation because he was schizophrenic, and they housed him in prison, but to punish him they put him in solitary confinement, and he was never tried for 5 years. He still was never tried.
That's just mental torture.
It's inhumane. It's medieval.
Yeah.
So they kept him for 5 years in a 23-hour lockdown by himself in a cell with schizophrenia unmedicated.
It's not right.
Thank you. That's exactly how I feel about it. And I think that it's just literally one of the parts of, I don't know the rules in your country, but I know in our country it's basically not even talked about. And you would only have to walk down the street, and get some water here. You really don't have to walk down the street in any major city to see these people.
Yeah.
And I think at first glance, it's like, no, I don't have a quarter for you, man.
Yeah.
I'm a little busy. I'm late to work.
A lot of eye dodging.
Yeah, just kind of awkward. But when we started the record, we started reading statistics, and I think there was something like 90,000 homeless people in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I went there this summer and it was just full.
Yeah. The strange thing is those people have families, and I am a family member of one of those families. And, it's very obvious to me that it's a disease, because how does it strike twice in the nuclear family, the mother and two sons? And so my entire family's been wiped out, and I don't want, I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to draw attention to my own story as much as I'm trying to say, I don't think this is right. I'm not a politician, I'm just a songwriter, but it's really wrong. It's really wrong. And not to mention, so to recap, we've got a person who was never actually tried for his crime for 5 years. 5. Alone in a cell with schizophrenia with no medication.
There's no excuse for that, is there?
No excuse. I wasn't given any note. I wasn't given any information. They just told me he was gone. I was welcome to the autopsy, but I would have to pay for it. And they gave me his personal effects. And I got calls from other inmates, friends of his, that told me really what happened. I didn't call them. They just had my number from him. And, they said that that there was some sort of meeting and that he came out of it very upset. And I don't know, I wasn't privy to his legal representation. It was completely a joke when I called them. So I'm not trying to draw attention to my trials and tribulations, but I guess maybe to empathize with the homeless and to hopefully humanize them and bring attention to actually what kind of existence they have. If you've got an illness that's not going to get any better, and you're up to it's up to you to medicate yourself and to get medication, and you have hallucinations or you hear voices or it's debilitating. How are you going to properly medicate yourself? So you've got people on the street. When people walk around on the street for long enough, their health starts going. Their teeth goes, they smell.
Then you do harder drugs.
You start self-medicating.
Yeah.
Then we've got this downward spiral, and basically it gets worse and worse and worse. And I cannot wait to get involved in charities. I mean, the album's not even out yet here, but I've never felt right about it in my lifetime, walking by even before this happened to my family, and I certainly don't feel right about it now. And I really believe that these people are getting a raw deal, and they're getting bullied, and I really believe I'm happy for our band to stand up for them and talk about them, because I don't think anybody is.
Well, if you're in this position, you might as well use it for some force of good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm lucky.
yeah,
I don't know why. I could have had schizophrenia, but I don't.
so make the most of it,
That's
I
what I'm
guess.
trying to do.
And what sort of response do you get then from things that you're saying and from your lyrics? Do you get a lot of people tweeting you and a lot of people leaving messages on your videos on YouTube and stuff about it?
Yeah, well, we've got a lot of people writing that have had very difficult times, I anticipated that, but I obviously couldn't actually imagine reading them. And they're not bad. They're very sweet, and usually it's very much thanking us. There's a fellow that's he's in a facility in Florida, and his girlfriend's in there too, and they've both been clean, like 9 months?
9 months now, yeah.
Awesome. There's another girl who's been through quite a lot. There's a lot of success stories, and basically people saying thank you, like, rock and roll is sadly very unimaginative and sort of a parody of itself a lot. I'm the troubled genius. I'm the party animal boy that's trying to clean it up. I'm the I fell from grace. I had the deal. I landed.
Girl.
I screwed up. I want forgiveness. I come from the wrong side of the track. It's a little disingenuous at times, and I don't know. I would like to see more people talking about real stuff.
The things that are meant to be taboo shouldn't be taboo anymore, should they?
I just think that a lot of people don't really realize that they have, if you have someone's ear, like, why would you say bullshit? It's such an honor to us to, actually be able to do this,
Something authentic and honest.
It's just an opportunity. I mean, it's what Andy Warhol said, everyone has their 15 minutes, right? So, what are you going to say with that 15 minutes? You going to trash a fucking hotel room? It seems like a stupid idea to me. Yeah. So
I want to talk about also the professional difficulties with producing the album, because you said you lacked support maybe from labels and stuff. So were there any benefits to that? Maybe you had more control because you didn't have anyone overseeing it?
no, we had to basically post money to get ourselves out of a really binding small record deal, and we had to borrow it from our families.
Tricky.
Very tricky and long-lasting. Obviously the benefit is we could do anything we wanted, but the downside is we had little to no resources. And so any resources that we could call from came from ourselves or our family members or people who supported us. It got so down to the bottom of the barrel that we couldn't ask our family members anymore for any more money. So then we started putting together systems of reaching out to the next round of community, the next level out, and people started donating money to us. So in return we would put their name in the liner notes of the record, because they helped pay for the record, and that money went to finishing the record, the mastering, the website, to making videos. I mean, it was completely independent at that point. So we did have the benefit of doing it the way that we felt is the way it should be done to express what we wanted to express. But at the same time, we had little to no resources to do that. So all of the pressure and weight was on us. So it's a balancing act. I mean, now we're fortunate to have a little bit more support, and that support comes with great admiration and respect, and it drives us, I think, even harder to do as good as the best work that we can now that we have like a little bit to build on. Yeah.
And you recorded everything twice, I believe. So what was wrong with the first versions? What needed tweaking, or what was lacking there?
I'd love to extend this to musicians that are starting out. I'm sure people who are off to the races are off to the races, but if you're starting out, if your record label tells you to do an album in a month and you don't think you can do that, don't do it. We were pushed heavily to do it that way, and we said no, and that was the beginning of sort of
It just didn't come out good enough. It wasn't exciting. I mean, we have a very simple policy with new material, that if we're not proud to show our friends it, if we're not excited to call up my friend or whatever and say like, hey, you have to listen to this new song, then it's clearly not good enough.
Says it all, doesn't it?
It's really simple. It's really basic. And we did the record, and it wasn't good enough. You know, when I would put it onto my friends, and I would cringe, and then it's like, no, you can't do that. So, but you know, at that point we had also run out of money. We were entrapped in a label deal, entrapped in management, and our label had pretty much written us off. Yet they'd written us off as far as like doing anything to help us, but they had absolutely held up the contract, and to try and suffocate us. But we wouldn't have it, so we essentially were on a label existing for a good year or more with absolutely no support whatsoever. When we started booking our own tours, we started calling our own press, and we were still selling out shows across the country, and we were paying for our own gas, we were paying for everything, and we were borrowing money to finish our record, and the label like didn't even exist, but then they would come in and they would take money from us, went from record sales and stuff like that.
Stressful times.
It was a difficult time
I'd like
for
to
me.
extend another thing to young musicians starting out. You are part of a greater music community. Say that word and remember that word, because you're not alone. And if you reach out to other bands, network with them, because I think that that's what led us out of this very binding, this kind of handcuffs, you know. It's like we reached out to friends, and I think if possible, try to exist in a communal way. Be kind to bands that you share a bill with. Try to share stuff with people if you can. If people need help, help them. We live in a very like dog eat dog city, as London is, I'm sure, and I'm kind of blown away at how many people go it alone and they're not warm to each other. And we've played with a lot of folks, and I'll tell you, all the people that are really good, really great, that they're always awesome. It's the people that want their position that they're gnashing, trying to get at it, that aren't so nice. Yeah. So
I'm a real believer in whatever you send out is what comes back to you. So yeah, and you know, if you want to be successful, if you want to be happy, if you want to write great songs, if you want to play the big stages or whatever, then help someone else do that. It's really simple.
You'll get your rewards.
It'll come back. Yeah.
I've got to wrap things up now, but people can see you either with the Hugh Stevens show tomorrow or December 14th with the XFM Wonderland. Is that right?
Yes.
Yep.
Brixton Academy.
Yeah. Yeah. So are we going to have any Christmas classic covers on that night, or is it going to... No?
Wow.
Come on.
I feel like we've tried one before. Have we tried any Christmas? Maybe I'll do a Spanish, Feliz Navidad.
Okay, I was thinking more like George Michael or something a bit cheesy, but...
We were asked to do a Christmas song once for a compilation, and it was right after the band broke up, and I sent this god-awful, depressing Christmas cover, and the guy wrote back, he's like, I don't think it's right for the compilation, but it's very good. I think it's beautiful. It was very... that's not my skill set, is Christmas
Maybe bring
songs.
it back for this concert.
In the spirit of George Michael, I'd like to say, it's Movember, ladies and gentlemen. I've recently shaved my George Michael beard, and I ask you to do the same. Please take part in Movember with us. We are Augustines. Visit weareaugustines.com or Facebook. Say hello to us. Please donate to Movember.
I concur. So thank you very much. Have a great time tonight and best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Rob Allen on drums. Thank you guys. I'd like to say hello to the Allen family, the Boxer Boys, Arlen Hunt, and our London family. Thank you guys. Cheers.